Lecture 39, The Schendi Jungle Cultures of Gore. The peoples of the rainforest, the Kimwitu, the Mamba, and the dark heart of Gore. A lecture by Sarakin Thorne. Part 1 Opening. Masters, mistresses, free men and free women, Kajare and Kajarie, I greet you. The circle is open. We have spoken of Ar, the oldest city. We have spoken of the red savages of the Barrens, but Gore has another wild place. A place of heat and steam. A place of constant rain. A place where the jungle swallows everything that does not fight back. The Schendi jungle. The equatorial rainforest of Gore. North of the port city of Schendi, south of the great inland lakes, lies a vast green sea of trees and vines and creatures that would haunt an Earth explorer's nightmares. This lecture will give you a BTB Plus understanding of the jungle cultures of Gore. The Kimwitu, the inlander people. The Mamba people, the tharlarion people. The dark heart of Gore, where the priest king's reach is weak and the old ways survive. Part 2. The geography of the jungles. The jungles of Gore are located in the equatorial region of Gore, just north of the port city of Schendi. This is not a temperate forest. It is a rainforest. A rainforest is a jungle with a high annual rainfall, commonly at least 100 inches per year. In this Gorean area, there are usually 2 heavy rains during each day, one in the late afternoon, one late at night, commonly an on or so before midnight. The rains are often accompanied by violent winds ranging from 110 to 120 passings per on. Due to its location on the equator, the rainforest does not experience a winter. Instead, it has a dry season, a time of lesser rains than the rest of the year. There are thought to be 2 dry seasons and 2 rainy seasons each year. The rainforest generally steams with humidity, and it is often difficult to make a fire. At night, the rainforest is cooler and more bearable. The jungles of Gore resemble the Africa of Earth in many ways. Undoubtedly, the inland dialects, the languages of the jungles, resemble the Earth Bantu or Swahili languages of Africa. Part 3. The 3 ecological zones. The rainforest has 3 separate ecological zones, differentiated by their height from the ground. First, the emergence. This is the highest level, occupying a region from about 125 Gorean feet to 200 Gorean feet. It is primarily occupied by birds, but there may also be some monkeys, tree urts, snakes, and insects living there. Second, the canopy. This is the green cover that makes the main ceiling of the jungle. This region ranges from about 60 to 125 Gorean feet. This area is occupied by many birds and also such animals as snakes, monkeys, gliding urts, leaf urts, squirrels, long-tailed porcupines, lizards, sloths, arachnids, and insects. Third, the ground zone. This spans from the ground up to 60 Gorean feet. There are many birds here as well as such animals as tarsiers, jit monkeys, black squirrels, leaf urts, jungle varts, gianni, armored gatch, sleens, ground urts, several varieties of tarsk, 6 varieties of anteater, 20 kinds of small, single-horned tabuk, jungle laurels, jungle panthers, many smaller cat-like predators and zetters. One important note, sleen do not exist within the rainforest. This is unusual. The sleen is common in many other parts of Gore. But in the Schendi jungles they are absent. Part 4. The Kimwitu, the inlander people. The indigenous inhabitants of the vast Gorean equatorial rainforest are the Kimwitu, also known as the inlander people. They are of Earth Bantu stock. Physical description. The Kimwitu are tall, with long limbs, high cheekbones, dark eyes, and black, tightly curled hair. Their bearing is majestic. Language. The various Kimwitu nations speak some variant dialect of inlander speech, which is identical to Terran Swahili. The inland dialects resemble the Earth Bantu or Swahili languages of Africa. The small men spoke a language that was far removed from the speeches of Schendi or Ukungu. The court of Bila Huruma. The court of Bila Huruma was opulent and colorful. There were more than 200 individuals in the great court, both men and women, of high station and certain commoners with causes to plead. There were guards, chieftains, and envoys. The robes were generally of animal skin, some marvelously marked. There was much gold and silver jewelry. Anklets and wristlets of feathers were common. The hair of the men and women was worn in a variety of fashions. There were ornate headdresses, usually of skins and feathers. In the lips of some of the men were brass plugs. Facial tattooing in various designs was common. The opulence and color of the court of Bila Huruma would have shamed the display and pageantry of many Ubars in the north. There were various racial types represented in the court, almost all black. There were some brown fellows from Bazi, and one of the attending physicians was Oriental. Even among very similar black types there was variety in hair style and tattooing, and dress, which was evidence of cultural or tribal difference. Culture and influence. Inlander cultural influence stretches from the high country of Lake Shaba and the city of ruins, around the Great Lakes region of the rainforest, along the vital trade routes of the jungle rivers, to the fabulous city of Schendi. It extends to the tea plantation of Bazi and across Thassa to the trade island of Anango. Considering themselves proper Gorians, a sizable percentage of city and village dwellers along the coasts of the equatorial belt speak some dialect of inlander and acknowledge that heritage. Government and leadership. Unlike city Gorians, inlanders tend not to overthrow their leaders. The Mfalmes, jungle Ubars, are generally more protectors than tyrants. The glaring exception is Bila Huruma the Great, who at one time had more men under arms than any other Ubar on the planet. The Askari, warrior caste. The warrior caste of the Kimwitu, the fearsome Askaris, are second to none on Gore. They have been known to fight Kurii to a standstill, trade and wealth. There is a constant torrent of riches which pour out of the inlander jungle. These include gold, iron, tusk ivory, sapphires, and other precious stones, exotic hardwoods and aromatic fragrant woods, textiles such as finished bark cloth, exotic hides, feathers, honey, tea, cocoa nuts, crystallized fruits, medicinal plants and spices, artworks of all sorts, the diminutive Gianni panther used as house pets, and slave girls. Architecture. Inlander building techniques and styles come in a wide range. From the highly advanced stone building of the artisans of the splendid city of ruins at Lake Shaba, to the martial minimalism of Bila Huruma's 100-foot-wide, 70-feet-high dome-shaped palace of grass with its interwoven branches and grass, to the meanest little frond-thatch hut sitting by a forgotten jungle stream. Communication, the drum relay system. With the exception of the electronic technology of the Sirdar, inlanders possess the most rapid form of communications on the planet. Their coded drum relay system sends a message at the speed of sound, Mach 1, far outstripping foot or even tarn messengers. A drum signal can cross hundreds of miles in seconds, relayed from sender to receiver, then sent on down the line. Efficient and elegant. This is a critical point for roleplay. The jungle peoples are not isolated or primitive in their communication. They have a system that rivals and in some ways exceeds the communication methods of the city-states. Customs, entering a village. When entering a Kimwitu or inlander village, it is customary to do so on the right. This exposes one's weapon arm, displaying vulnerability and therefore peaceful intentions. This custom tells us something about the inlander mindset. They are not naive. They know that strangers can be dangerous, but they have rituals to manage that danger. Part 5. The Mamba People. The Mamba people are one of the smaller tribal groups mentioned in the jungles of Gore. Who are the Mamba people? The Mamba people were, so to speak, the tharlarion people. The Mamba is a large predatory variety of river tharlarion which inhabits the rivers of the rainforests inland of Schendi. It is believed the cannibalistic Mamba people take their name from this flesh-eating animal. The tharlarion is a large, reptilian creature found on Gore. Some species are herbivorous. Some are carnivorous. The tharlarion is known to eat human flesh. Cannibalism. The Mamba people ate human flesh. So too does the tharlarion. It is thus doubtless that the people obtained their name. This is a dark detail. The Mamba people are cannibals. They are feared by other jungle peoples. They are feared by outsiders. Their association with the flesh-eating tharlarion is not accidental. The attack on the Mamba encampment, one village, not the entire people. In Explorers of Gore, Tarl Cabot and the small men led a column of marchers against an encampment of the Mamba people. The leader of the small men told Cabot, "We shall recruit allies. They are nearby even now. They will be like the leaves on the trees, like the bits of sand at the shore." Cabot did not understand at first. "Do you jest with me?" he asked. "No," said the small man. "This is the time of the marchers." The leader of the small men led Cabot into the jungle. Soon he heard a strange sound, like a small wind moving leaves. But there was no wind. The sound was the sound of millions upon millions of tiny feet, treading upon the leaves and fallen debris of the jungle floor. There was also the almost infinitesimal sound of the rubbings and clickings of the joints of tiny limbs, and the shiftings and adjustments of tiny, black, shiny exoskeletons. "Do not go too close," said the leader of the small men. The column of the marchers was something like a yard wide. It extended ahead through the jungle, and behind through the jungle farther than Cabot could see in either direction. Such columns can be passings in length. The column widens only when food is found. Then it may spread as widely as 500 feet in width. Cabot and the small men trekked through the jungle for several hours, keeping parallel to the long column. Once they crossed a small stream. The marchers, forming living bridges of their own bodies, clinging and scrambling on one another, crossed it also. Flankers marshaled the column. Through the green rain forest the column moved like a governed, endless, whispering black snake. Cabot asked, "Do they march at night?" "Often," said the small man. "One must be careful where one sleeps." A tropical rain storm descended upon them. Cabot asked if the rain would stop the marchers. "For a time," said the small man. "They will scatter and seek shelter beneath leaves and twigs under the debris of the forest, and then, summoned by their leaders, they will reform and again take up the march." Cabot asked, "Can the column be guided?" "Yes," grinned the small man, rubbing the side of his nose. "It is not so much that the column is guided as it is that it is lured." The small men, with their nets and spears, killed a small tarsk. They threw portions of the slain tarsk to the forest floor. The column turned toward the meat. They further encouraged the column during the day with additional blood and flesh. Cabot approached the stockade of the Mamba people. He rubbed tarsk blood on the palings. Behind him he could hear the rustling of the marchers. Those inside the stockade, given their music and dancing, would not hear it. Cabot stepped back. He saw the column, like a narrow black curtain, dark in the moonlight, ascend the palings. Inside the stockade, given the feast of the village, the column would widen, spreading to cover in its crowded millions every square inch of earth, scouring each stick, each piece of straw, hunting for each drop of grease, for each flake of flesh. even if it be no more than what might adhere to the shed hair of a hut earth. When Cabot heard the first scream from inside the stockade, he hurled his rope to the top of the stockade, catching one of the palings in its noose. Then he heard a man cry out with pain. But this was one encampment, not the entire Mamba people. The language in the books is clear. An encampment of the Mamba people, not the Mamba people as a whole. The marchers destroyed one village. Other Mamba villages likely remain elsewhere in the jungle. The Mamba people as a whole are not extinct. They are still out there in the deep jungle, still practicing their old ways, still cannibals, still feared. The destruction of one village is a blow to the Mamba people. It is not their annihilation. Part 6. The Marchers, a unique predator. The Marchers deserve their own section. They are one of the most unusual predators on Gore. Description. The Marchers are aggressive carnivorous insects. Each is about 2 inches long with a shiny black exoskeleton and 2 antennae. They are called the Marchers because of their, apparently seasonal, marches through the jungle in a single column, yards wide and passings in length. They may number in the millions, their paths widening to as much as 500 feet when they overtake, swarm over and devour all flesh, living or dead, in their path. Their bite. Their bite is extremely painful but not poisonous. Their victims die from being weakened from relentless attack, being overcome until they are still. This is a slow death, not quick, not merciful. The victim is eaten alive, bite by bite, over hours or days. The use of Marchers as a weapon. In Explorers of Gore, Tarl Cabot used the Marchers as a weapon. He and the small men led a column of Marchers by baiting them with fresh meat. The ants, weaving like a whispering black snake through the jungle, overran an encampment of the Mamba people, Cabot's intended target. This is a terrifying tactic, but it is effective. The Marchers cannot be stopped by walls, cannot be reasoned with, cannot be negotiated with. They simply consume everything in their path. Part 7. The Small Men, the Pygmies of Gore. The small men helped Tarl Cabot destroy the Mamba encampment. They are based on pygmies, another transplant group from Earth's jungle regions. The small men spoke swiftly in a language Cabot could not follow. There are linguistic affinities among most of the lake and river dialects, but the language they spoke was far removed from the speeches of Schendi or Yukungu. The leader of the small men told Cabot that 2 or 3 men would be sufficient. But because we are so fond of you, I and 9 others will accompany you. When Cabot asked how they would storm the Mamba encampment with so few men, the small man replied, "We shall recruit allies. They are nearby even now." Cabot asked how many they could recruit. The small man said, "So high I cannot count." Cabot knew that the mathematics of these men, who had no written tradition, who had no complex cultural accumulation of intricate tallyings and abstract inventions, would be severely limited. "They will be like the leaves on the trees, like the bits of sand at the shore," said the small man. The small men have their own culture, their own secrets, their own knowledge of the jungle that outsiders do not share. Part 8. The lakes and rivers of the jungles. Several important waterways lead into the jungle region. The Cardius is a subequatorial river that generally flows west by northwest, entering the jungle region and emptying into Lake Schendi. It was once thought that the Cardius was a tributary of the Vosk River, but it is not. The explorer Ramus discovered this difference. The earlier Gore novels fail to differentiate between these 2 rivers. In those novels, you should substitute the Thassa for the Cardius. The Thassa is the actual tributary of the Vosk. Lake Ngao is as large as Lake Schendi, if not even bigger. Ngao is a word in the inland dialect, not in Gorean, and it means shield. It was named by Shaba because its shape resembles the normal shields wielded by those of the jungles. These shields are long and oval-shaped. Shaba was the first civilized person to circumnavigate this lake. The Ngao is fed by a major river, located at its eastern extremity, called the Yua River. The Yua River was discovered and named by Shaba as well. Yua is a word in the inland dialect, not in Goryeo, and it means flower. The Yua is at least as large as the Vosk River. It has many falls and cataracts that make it very difficult to cross. Shaba named these the Falls and Cataracts of Bilahuruma. The source of the Yua River is Lake Shaba. Lake Shaba was unknown by civilized men until the events of explorers of Gore. It is a huge lake, bigger than either Ngao or Schendi. It is located thousands of Goryeo feet above sea level, so when ascending the Yua, you are climbing higher and higher. It was discovered by Shaba, who at first named it Lake Bilahuruma, after the black Ubar, Shaba's friend. But when Shaba dies at the end of Explorers of Gore, Bila chooses to rename it Lake Shaba in memory of his friend. Part 9. The Lost City and the Ruins at Lake Shaba. This is one of the most fascinating discoveries in Explorers of Gore. Lake Shaba contains a number of large stone figures. They are the torsos and heads of black men, with shields on their arms and spears in their hands. The stone is weathered and covered with the signs of age. Lichen and mosses are growing in patches on the figures. The figures stand about 30 to 40 feet out of the water. At the eastern edge of the lake is a landing that is about 400 yards wide and 100 yards deep. The landing leads to a flight of steps and into a vast, ruined city. Most of the walls and columns are crumbling and covered in vines. There are more statues as well. There is one chamber that once might have been for the enslavement and training of women. The walls are covered in mosaics of slave captures, slavery scenes, slave dancing, sex, and more. No one knows much about the civilization that once lived here. It must have vanished many years ago. From the back cover of Explorers of Gore, when the shield ring of the much-feared Curii falls into the possession of a mysterious black explorer, it becomes vital to the priest kings that Tarl Cabot himself regain that ancient product of an alien science. His quest brings him to the unmapped interior of the great equatorial rainforests and into new dangers without parallel. Here are jungle kingdoms and tropical trade cities, fierce beasts and fiercer men. And at the heart of this full-bodied Goryeo novel is a lost city, and a lineage of the loveliest enemy agents ever lured from the cities of far-off Terra. What kind of civilization was it? The priest kings do not have outposts in the jungle. They live only in the Sirdar Mountains. Their nest is there. Their technology is there. They do not scatter their presence across Gore, but the priest kings can plant a civilization from Earth there. The lost city at Lake Shaba was not built by the priest kings. It was built by humans. Humans who were taken from Earth, specifically from a jungle culture on Earth, and planted on Gore by the priest kings. This explains everything. First, its location. The city is deep in the equatorial rainforest. That is not where a Mediterranean or European culture would settle, but it is exactly where a people from the Amazon or the Congo would feel at home. Second, its architecture. The city was not primitive. It was built by people who knew how to build cities in the jungle, stone figures, grand steps, mosaics. This was an advanced civilization. Third, its fate. The civilization is no longer there. What happened? The priest kings may have abandoned their transplant project. The people may have died out from disease, war, or environmental collapse. They may have been destroyed by the Curii, or they may have merged with the Kimwitu, losing their distinct identity over generations. Fourth, the enemy agents. The lineage of women were enemy agents, spies, operatives, planted by an enemy power. The Curii are the obvious candidate. The Curii have been preparing to conquer Gore for millennia. Planting agents in a transplanted Earth civilization would be a logical strategy. What happened to the inhabitants? The books do not tell us the fate of the lost city's inhabitants, but we can make logical deductions. They may have moved. The inhabitants may have abandoned the city. The jungle shifts. Rivers change course. Predators become more dangerous. A plague may have struck. A war may have driven them out. If they moved, their descendants might still be alive somewhere in the jungle. Perhaps they have forgotten their origins. Perhaps they guard secrets passed down through generations. They may have merged with the Kimwitu. They may have died out. The inhabitants may have perished completely. The jungle is merciless. Disease could have swept through the population. The Curii could have attacked them. The Marchers could have destroyed them. If they died out, their knowledge died with them. The ruins are all that remain, ghosts in the jungle. They may be hidden. The inhabitants may still be in the city, hidden from outsiders. The jungle provides cover. The drum relay network of the Kimwitu may warn them of approaching strangers. They may actively prevent discovery. The lineage of the loveliest enemy agents, if they are still there, they would be descendants of Earth women, perhaps maintaining their mission across generations. Spies whose grandchildren are still spies, waiting for contact from their masters. Part 10. Key figures from Explorers of Gore. The search results reveal several important characters from the jungles. Bila Huruma. Bila Huruma is the great black Ubar. He had more men under arms than any other Ubar on the planet. He ordered the building of a canal joining Lake Schendi and Lake Ngao. He renamed Lake Bila Huruma to Lake Shaba in memory of his friend, the explorer Shaba, after Shaba's death. Shaba. Shaba is a geographer from Anango, a student of Ramani and a former agent of the priest kings. He discovered and circumnavigated Lake Ngao. He discovered and explored the Yua River, even to the discovery of its source in Lake Shaba. He was one of the greatest, if not the greatest, of the explorers of Gore. Msalidi. Msalidi is Bila Huruma's Grand Vizier. He is an agent of the Curii. He pretends to serve Bila Huruma, but actually works for the alien enemies of Gore. Iari. Iari is a thief from Schendi who worked on Bila Huruma's canal. He later becomes the Wazir of Bila Huruma. He is facile with languages and has connections with the villages of Nyuki on the northern shore of Schendi and with Kisu in the Ukungu districts. He was born and raised in Schendi and speaks Gorean fluently. Kisu. Kisu is the former Mfalme, jungle Ubar, and leader of the rebels against Bila Huruma. He fought and killed Mwoga in single combat. When offered a position as second in Bila Huruma's empire, he refused, saying better to be first in Ukungu than second in the empire. Bila Huruma named him first in Ukungu and declared Ukungu free. Part 11. The Shields of Ukungu. The Ukungu people have a distinctive custom regarding their shields. On the Ukungu shield there is, commonly, a tuft of feathers. This is fastened at one of the points of the shield. When the tuft of feathers is at the bottom of the shield being so held, this is an indication that the hunter seeks an animal. When the tuft of feathers is at the top of the shield so held, it is an indication that the quarry is human. On both the shield of Kisu and Mwoga during their fight, the tufts were at the top. They were hunting human prey, each other. This custom is a rich detail for roleplay. A character who knows this custom can read a warrior's intentions at a glance. Part 12. The Curii connection. Gore is not a sweet place. The search results confirm that Gore is dangerous. The Curii are a constant threat. The Curii are an alien race, the great enemies of the priest kings. They wish to conquer both Gore and Earth. The word Curii is a Gorean corruption of their name for themselves. In Torvaldsland, it means beasts. The Curii are described as beasts of fierce, terrible instincts who regard humans and other beasts as food. Blood, as to the shark, is an adjutant to their systems. They are extremely powerful and highly intelligent. Fond of killing and technologically advanced, they are worthy adversaries of the priest kings. Most Curii live in ships, the steel wolves of space. Their own world was destroyed. They now wish for another. The Curii not unoften feed on men. They regard humans as food. The flesh of human women is considered a delicacy. They are carnivores. They consider humans as cattle or meat animals. They would not deign to maintain a friendly relationship with a race they consider food. If the Curii eat humans even alive, then gore is not a sweet place. Not for all, not all the time. The Mamba are not alone in their darkness. They are one expression of the savage reality of gore. The Curii are another. The jungle itself is another. Gore has nice sides. Beautiful cities, honorable warriors, loyal slaves, deep friendships, romantic love. But gore also has horror, cannibalism, slavery, torture, death, alien beasts that feed on human flesh. That is what makes gore interesting. A world without darkness is shallow. A world without danger is boring. Embrace the darkness, but with respect for the players who share the world with you. Part 13, How to Play Mamba, Embracing the Horror. This section provides practical guidance for players who wish to portray Mamba characters in Gorean roleplay. The dark side of gore. Gore is not a sweet place. It is not safe. It is not a theme park with mild adventures. Gore has a dark side. The Mamba represent one aspect of that darkness. Is gore interesting when it has only nice sides? No. A world without danger, without horror, without the genuinely terrifying is a shallow world. The Mamba remind us that gore is savage, that the jungle is merciless, that there are places where the laws of the cities do not reach. The Curii sometimes eat humans too, even alive. The Curii are described as regarding humans as food and carnaza, carrion meat. They feed on men. They consider human flesh a delicacy. If the Curii, the great enemies of the priest kings, are cannibals, then the Mamba are not alone in their darkness. Gore has many horrors. The Mamba are simply one of them. Roleplay items exist and are usable. In Second Life and other roleplay platforms, items for cannibalistic scenes exist. They are usable. They are within the rules of adult roleplay communities. These items include cooking devices and ritual implements, props representing human remains, animation systems for feeding scenes, and environmental effects for Mamba villages. Do not use these items without consent. Cannibalism is an extreme theme. It triggers strong reactions. Always discuss limits before the scene. Always respect a player's no. Mamba as the dark side of gore, a roleplay guide. If you play a Mamba character, you are playing one of the darkest elements of Gorean lore. Character options. A survivor of the destroyed encampment. You witnessed the horror of the marchers. You lost your home, your family, your village. You carry that trauma. You may seek revenge. You may wander the jungle alone. You may be the last of your specific village, but not the last of your people. A member of another Mamba encampment. The Mamba people as a whole are not destroyed. Other villages exist deeper in the jungle. You still practice the old ways. You are still a cannibal. You are still feared. You may have heard rumors of the destroyed village. You may be suspicious of outsiders, a Mamba captured and enslaved. You were taken by slavers from Schendi or other cities. You now serve a master in the civilized world. Your past is a horror to those around you. You may struggle with your old ways. You may secretly long for the jungle. Personality traits. Mamba characters are fierce and independent. The jungle does not permit weakness. They are suspicious of outsiders. The memory of the Mamba, like the memory of the Red Savages, shapes their view of lighter-skinned peoples. They are practical about death. Death is not feared. It is a fact of life. The body is meat. Meat is food. They are ritualistic. Cannibalism is not casual. It is embedded in their culture, their religion, their ceremonies. Cultural practices for role play. The books provide limited information. The following are logical expansions for role play. The hunt. Capturing a victim is a rite of passage for young warriors. The feast. The consumption of the victim is a communal ritual, not an act of mere hunger. The bond with the tharlarion. The Mamba share their name with the flesh-eating tharlarion. They may keep tharlarion as pets, as guardians, or as sacred animals. The taboo. Some parts of the body may be reserved for specific castes. The heart for the chief. The eyes for the shaman. Consent and cannibalism in roleplay. This is the most important section of this part. Cannibalism is an extreme theme. It is not for everyone. It should never be imposed on an unwilling player. Before any Mamba scene involving cannibalism, discuss limits out of character, explicitly. Agree on safe words. Agree on what is allowed and what is not. Respect a no without question. If a player says they are uncomfortable, stop immediately. For players who are not comfortable with cannibalism themes, you do not have to include them. A Mamba character can be portrayed without explicit cannibalistic scenes. The fear of what they might do can be as powerful as the act itself. A Mamba slave in R does not need to eat human flesh in front of their master. The threat, the knowledge of what they are, is enough to create tension. For players who are comfortable with extreme themes, the roleplay items exist. They are usable. They can create scenes of genuine horror that remind everyone that gore is not safe. But with great darkness comes great responsibility. Respect your partner, respect their limits. And remember, the goal is mutual enjoyment, not traumatizing other players. Part 14. Is it interesting for roleplay to look for the lost city? Absolutely. A lost city in the jungle is a classic adventure hook, perfect for Gorian roleplay. Adventure Hook 1, The Treasure Hunt. A map is discovered in the archives of Schendi. It shows the location of a lost city, a transplant civilization from Earth's jungle regions. A wealthy merchant funds an expedition. The characters must travel through the jungle, survive the predators, negotiate with the Kimwitu, and reach the ruins before a rival expedition. Perhaps Curii agents gets there first. What might they find? Artifacts from Earth. Pottery, tools, weapons. Records written in an Earth language, Portuguese from the Amazon, French or Dutch from the Congo, or something older from a culture that no longer exists on Earth. And the mosaics in the training chamber, slave captures, slavery scenes, slave dancing, sex, a window into a vanished culture. Adventure Hook 2, The Rescue Mission. A scholar from the scribes of Schendi ventured into the jungle to find the lost city. He has not returned. His family offers a reward. The characters must track him, find out what happened, and bring him back or bring back his research. What happened to him? He may have been captured by a hostile tribe. He may have fallen into a Curii trap. He may have found something he should not have found, and someone does not want him to leave. Adventure Hook 3, The Curii Threat. The Curii are using the lost city as a base. They are stockpiling weapons, planning an attack on Schendi or further north. The Priest Kings cannot act directly. They need human agents to infiltrate the ruins and destroy the Curii operation. What makes this dangerous? The Curii have technology that humans do not. They may have radios, firearms, and other forbidden items. They are physically powerful, 2.5 meters tall, weighing 700 pounds with claws and fangs. A human fighter is no match for a Curii in direct combat. Adventure Hook 4, The Lineage. The lineage of the loveliest enemy agents, the descendants of Earth women, are still in the jungle. They have forgotten their mission. They have intermarried with the jungle peoples. They have their own small community. One of them has been captured and sold into slavery in Schendi. The characters must find her, discover her secrets, and decide what to do with the knowledge. Is she still loyal to the Curii? Does she even know her origins? Who else is looking for her? Adventure Hook 5, The Artifact. An energy bulb was found in the jungle, but it is not like any energy bulb seen before. It glows with a strange color. It does not dim. It seems to respond to touch. It may be Priest King technology or Curii technology or something else entirely. The characters must find where it came from. The trail leads to the lost city. but others are following the same trail. Part 15. What destroys the feeling? Do not do these things, treating the jungle peoples as primitive savages without culture. The Kimwitu have a rich, complex culture. They have laws, they have trade, they have art. The court of Bila Huruma was opulent and colorful, forgetting the drum relay system. The inlanders have rapid communication. They are not isolated, ignoring the marchers. The marchers are one of the most unique and terrifying predators on Gore. They can be used as a weapon, but they can also destroy everything. Making the Mamba people friendly. They are cannibals, they are dangerous, they are not misunderstood, assuming all jungle peoples are the same. The Kimwitu are not the Mamba, the small men are not the inlanders, forgetting the connection to Schendi. The jungle and the city are connected, trade flows both ways, people move back and forth, assuming the entire Mamba people were destroyed. No, one encampment was destroyed, others remain, forgetting consent. Cannibalism themes require explicit out-of-character consent. Do not spring them on unsuspecting players. Assuming gore is only nice, it is not. The darkness, the Mamba, the Curii, the jungle itself, is part of what makes gore interesting, turning the lost city into a priest-king outpost. The priest-kings live only in the Sirdar Mountains. They do not scatter themselves across Gore. The lost city was built by earth transplants, people taken from Earth's jungle regions. Forgetting the shield custom of Yukungu. The tuft of feathers tells you whether the hunter seeks animal or human prey. Part 16. Closing the circle. I have spoken. Now I ask you to consider. Do you understand the Schendi jungle cultures now, not as a stereotype, as a people? The Kimwitu are the inlander people. They are of Bantu stock. They speak a language like Swahili. They have a drum relay system that sends messages at the speed of sound. Their Askaris are warriors who can fight Curii. The Mamba people are the Tharlarion people. They eat human flesh. They are cannibals. They are the dark side of Gore. One of their encampments was destroyed by the marchers, a column of carnivorous insects that devoured everything in their path. But other encampments remain. The Mamba still live. The marchers themselves are a unique predator. Millions of 2-inch ants marching in a column, consuming all flesh in their way. The small men are the pygmies of Gore. They have no written tradition. Their mathematics are limited, but they know the jungle. They know the marchers. They helped Cabot destroy the Mamba encampment. The lost city at Lake Shaba was not a priest-king outpost. It was a transplant of an earth-jungle civilization, people from the Amazon or the Congo, brought to Gore by the priest-kings and left to build their own city. The stone figures of black men with shields and spears stand 30 to 40 feet out of the water. The ruined city has walls and columns covered in vines, and a chamber with mosaics of slave captures, slavery scenes, dancing, and sex. No one knows what happened to this civilization. The Ua River, the lakes, the falls and cataracts of Bila Huruma, all discovered by Shaba, one of the greatest explorers of Gore. The Yukungu shield custom tuft of feathers at the bottom for animal, at the top for human prey. The Curii are another darkness. They regard humans as food. They feed on men. They are the great enemies of the priest-kings. Gore is not a sweet place. It is not safe. It has horror alongside beauty, danger alongside honor, death alongside life. That is what makes Gore interesting. The jungles are hot, they are wet, they are dangerous, but they are not empty. They are home to peoples with long memories and fierce independence. Play well, play with knowledge, play with respect for the books. And if you play a Mamba character, embrace the darkness, but embrace consent first. The circle is yours.